everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have my October wrap up for you. This was another month where I did a mid-month wrap up, so I will link that down below for the books I read in the first half of the month. So let's just get into the books I read into the second half of the month. So for the second half of October I read 14 books and had one DNF actually, which I have not DNF'd a book in a long time, but this one was a long time coming, I think. I'll talk about that more when I get to it, but let's get to the books I did read. So the first book I read was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I talked about this one in my fake dating romance rec video. If you haven't seen that, I'll link that down below as well. This one is really the epitome of best friends to lovers. I really liked this one. It's also, I would say, like PG-13 if you wanted a romance that features like college students but is clean. And so if you're looking for that, this one is basically like that. It does have a few moments that like maybe like you wouldn't want to give this book to like younger teens, but I think for the most part it was pretty clean. And like I said, definitely best friends to lovers, was super like both of them really loved each other but didn't want to tell the other. And obviously there's fake dating involved because like I said, I talked about it in that video. I gave this one 4 stars. Thought it was really cute. I did feel like the ending of this maybe dragged a little bit, but other than that, really liked it. The next book I read was the first book in the Zodiac Academy series, which is like a dark romance wizard, I guess not wizards, I guess they're witches. And it's sort of like I described this, I read this for another video that I've actually already filmed that's coming out in a week or two, and I'm really excited for that video, but I described it in that video as if Twilight and Harry Potter had a bully romance baby. This was like kind of what I felt like the authors were going for with this one. For me, it wasn't really it. I don't know. I gave this one like 3.5 stars. I didn't love it. I found there was just so much going on in this that it was just unnecessary. Like, they kept layering things on top of what was already happening and it was already too much, and I was like, hey, can we just slow down? I've heard that it gets better in the other books, but obviously I haven't read those yet, so can't comment, but wasn't my favorite. Next I read The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss. Obviously, again, I'm pre-filming, so I'm reading Christmas books in October, and this one I didn't love. I do think it's a cute, like if you're looking for a Christmas book that you're just looking for something Christmassy, this is a good one. But as far as like the actual romance went, it was very like slow burn. And by the, probably like maybe the 9th or 10th date, I was over it. I was like, okay, we already know this is like not going anywhere. Why are we still doing this? And that it just kept going on. I think I gave this one 3.5 stars as well. Like I said, really good if you're just looking for like a Christmas book, but for like the actual romance aspect, wasn't my favorite. Next I read The Ex Hex by Erin Sterling. This book has obviously been everywhere this month. I have been excited for this book since I first heard about it because I really wanted a fall romance that was not just a like vampire book. Like a lot of times I find in the fall people tend to recommend books that are just like regular paranormal romances. Like they don't actually take place in the fall season and they're not really written for Halloween, and so I really liked that this one was, because like I said, there's not a lot of that out there and I have been looking for that for a year now, and so I was excited to see this book coming out and excited to read it. I gave this one 4 stars solely because it was exactly what I was looking for. It was pretty predictable and, you know, I think everyone knew what was going to happen with this one, but like I said, it was exactly what I've been looking for. So because of that, I gave it 4 stars because I did really like it, and it filled that hole in my like library collection, I guess you could say. Next I read The Lost Boys by Ava Ashwood, and this one is a reverse harem high school bully romance. I've been reading a lot of bully romances lately because I want to film a rec video in the future, probably going up in December, and this one was really good actually. I've been kind of like testing the waters with reverse harem. I feel like it's not something that I've read a lot of in the past, but the past couple weeks or so I've been trying to read a little bit more of it, and I have been liking it. Like I don't really care if the girl picks one guy at the end, like that just doesn't bother me, but I know that's not everybody's thing, so that's why I'm telling you that that's in this book. But basically this one is about a girl whose dad gets arrested. She's like a super, you know, well-off, really rich girl. her dad gets arrested for fraud and they take everything, and her mom end up in this rental house on the other side of town, going to this like public school for the first time with these boys and all these kids in the school that hate her because they all sort of believe that her dad has screwed them over by like buying up their businesses or whatever, like just different things he's done. And this one was sort of weird because she sort of makes a deal with them that if she makes this deal, they'll protect her from everyone else, but basically they'll be the ones to make sure that she pays for what her dad did. But the thing that I thought was strange was like as soon as they make this deal, they're just like super nice to her. Like they were like, oh yeah, like if you make this deal with us, we'll make sure that you pay for what your dad did, but you won't have to worry about everyone else. But like literally as soon as she makes the deal, they're like buying her food and like taking her places with them and like whatever. And I was like, what the heck happened? Like I feel like I missed something, or like I don't know. Like I get so confused, I feel like, a lot with bully romances because they're just like the person's bullied for like 5 seconds and then they call it a bully romance, and I'm just like, what just happened? Like, I don't know. Because for me, I hold every bully romance to Bully by Penelope Douglas because I feel like that is like the staple bully romance. And so when I like look at it, I'm like, why was it over in 5 seconds? Like, I don't know. But anyway, that was how I felt about that book. I gave this one 4 stars, I think. I don't know if I said that. But I did really like it. But like I said, that was just weird. Next, I read The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This is for a future video, so I'm not going to talk about it much. This one is about a woman who goes on her honeymoon without her husband because they get in a huge fight. And she is investigating this apothecary because she finds this bottle in a river. And it sort of bounces back and forth between the stories of this apothecary in the past and her sort of piecing everything together in the future. And it was really interesting, actually, because the apothecary basically was known at the time for this woman selling wives' poisons, basically, to kill their husbands that were, like, cheating on them or doing things. Like, they were all, like, sort of had reasons for killing their husbands. But I just thought that was really interesting. I thought this whole book was really interesting. Gave this one 4 stars, like I said, talking about it in another video. The next book I read was Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. Again, this is for the same video as the last one. You probably know what it is now. But I read this one. This one's really interesting as well. It is about a gay married couple who is killed. Like, both of them are killed, and each of their dads sort of now meet at the funerals, and both of the dads didn't accept their sons while they were alive, basically. And now they're sort of regretting that now that they're both dead. And they're hunting down who killed them, basically. It's these 2 dads, like, working together, but they're both, like, ex-cons and have all these other issues going on, and this one was just really good. I was surprised how much I liked this one. Didn't think I was going to. Gave this one, I think, 4 stars as well. Next was Brutal Heir by Eden O'Neill. I think I gave this one 4 stars as well. This is another bully romance. I really liked this one, but it's also, like, very intense. Like, the book, literally, the start of it, the first chapter, is like, she watches this guy kill a dog. Like, it is intense. So don't go into this if you're, like, not prepared for some, like, you know, intense stuff. But I did really like this one. Like I said, I'm going to do a whole rec video, so I'm not going to talk super long about these either. And I feel like, maybe this is just me, but, like, I read a lot of bully romances. I feel like they're all starting to mix in my head. I do know I really liked this one, though. Next, I read Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This one I actually read for this Saturday's video, and I'm excited for that video, so you should watch that one. But this one I gave, I think, 4.5 stars to. My only complaint about this book was it was so long. It was like 575 pages, I think. And I posted this on my Instagram stories, and I think that it really is true. I do not have the attention span for anything over 400 pages if it is not in the form of an audiobook. I have decided from now on that any book that is over 400 pages I will only read as an audiobook because I just cannot get myself to focus on reading a book for that long. I don't know what it is about it that, I don't know, my brain cannot handle it. This one is about a boy who's kind of always been told that he's, like, stupid and, like, not good for anything kind of thing, until he meets this other boy who is from a family of werewolves, and they sort of, there's a whole thing that happens. I feel like you can't say a lot about this book because there's just so much that happens in it. But the one thing that I did not like about this book was it starts off when the main character is 12. And then by the end, I think he's like 28. Like, you literally go through like 10 years of his life. And I found that the writing of, like, his thoughts and his speech when he was 12 didn't differ at all from when he was, like, in his 20s. And so I felt like I had a really hard time, like, reminding myself that he was in his 20s and he wasn't 12 anymore, because nothing changed. Like, the writing was all the same, he still talked the same, he still thought the same, and so for me that was a little confusing. I felt like I was constantly going, okay, wait, like, how old did it say he was? Oh, wait, he turned 17 now. Oh, this happened. And, like, so like I said, gave this one 4.5 stars. Really did like it, but it was just so long. But I do think that this series as a whole is probably really good. If I can find it on audiobook, I will probably listen to the other two. But like I said, I don't think I'll be reading any more physical books that are over 400 pages, so we'll see. Next was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one I gave 4 stars to as well. I wasn't expecting to like this one, to be honest. I don't know why. I feel like I don't know. Is this one classified as women's fiction? Because I feel like I never like women's fiction, and I just feel like that's what this was. But I did like it, but I think most of what I liked was the Malibu setting. I think if this had been anywhere else, I would have been bored. But I did like this one, which, like I said, is just so strange to me. And this one, again, is for another video. You probably can tell what that video is by now. But I really liked the focus on all of the different relationships in this book. Like I said, I pretty much only read romance, so I'm not used to reading things like that. But I did really like it. Like I said, I'm going to talk about this more in another video. So that's it for this one. Next is Don't Kiss the Bride by Carian. This is another one that is going in this weekend's video, so you'll hear me talk about it more then. This one I was expecting to really love, actually. I had really high hopes for this one, and I did like it, but it was like exactly what I thought it was going to be, which I feel like was kind of disappointing in itself. Like, sometimes you like pick up a book, you know, and you're just like, oh, I think it's going to go like this, and then there's like a plot twist or something, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy, I didn't see that coming. But I feel like this was exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I did like it, gave it 4 stars because I did really like it, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. But I don't know. There was something missing, but I don't know what it was. And again, I'll talk about this more in this weekend's video. Next is Forget Me Not by QB Tyler, and this is another one that I really loved. I gave this one 5 stars. I wasn't expecting to love this one, interestingly enough. This one is actually for this weekend's video too. I'm really sorry that I'm like keep saying that, but I've just been like in such the zone of like knocking books out for videos I want to film that this whole wrap up is basically just books for other videos. But I did want to do the wrap up because I said I was gonna do it, and so I'm sorry about that, but there's a lot of videos coming, and once I hit November I should be done reading all the books that I'm gonna read for the videos that I'm gonna film until the end of the year. So next month my wrap up should be a little more different than the regular videos, if that makes any sense. But anyway, this was another one I read for this weekend's video. Like I said, gave it 5 stars, really, really love this one. It's about a guy who is divorcing his wife, but then, well, I guess she's divorcing him. And he gets in a car accident and doesn't remember the last 2 years when he first wakes up. And so he doesn't remember that he cheated on her and, you know, they were having all these issues and that they're splitting up. He wakes up and thinks that they're still madly in love with each other and doesn't understand, like, why she won't come to him and, like, different things. And he'll be like, oh, like, why won't you kiss me? And she's like, why would I kiss you? Like, that, we don't do that anymore, you know? And I really like this one. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to, but again, I'll talk about it more in this weekend's video. Next was The Four Winds by Kristen Hannah. This, again, another video. I really hate that I keep saying that. This was a historical fiction that takes place during the Great Depression and like a drought on a farm, basically. And I didn't love this one. I gave it 3 stars, but to be honest, I think it's mostly just that I probably don't like historical fiction. This was the first historical fiction I've ever read. Like I said, wasn't a fan. It was very depressing. It was like every time you thought it couldn't get sadder, it got a little bit sadder. And so I wasn't a fan of that. I like my stories happy, obviously. And so yeah, gave it 3 stars. Wasn't a huge fan, but read it for that video. And like I said, I'm going to stop saying that next month. So I promise these will get better. The last book I read before the one I DNF'd was Wicked Saint by Veronica Eden. And this was another bully romance, but I gave this one 2 stars. And to be honest, this is the only bully romance I've ever given 2 stars to, or really like probably only the second romance I've ever given 2 stars anyway. But this one was just boring. And I hate saying that because like normally I feel like bully romances and darker romances, just being in the genre they are is enough to make them exciting. But this one just wasn't. I feel like every single aspect of this book I could name 4 other books that did the same thing. Like, usually there's at least, like, one unique thing that kind of goes on, you know, that sort of, you're like, okay, like, I'm gonna remember this book because it was the one where this happened. And in this book, I'm just like, honestly, I read this, like, last week maybe, and I already can't remember what it was about. And it's just, like, used a lot of things I've already read, and even, like, the fact that she was a twin and had a twin brother in the school, that's, like, I feel like, why do all the bully romances do that? Why do they always have to have a twin brother? Like, I don't know. The whole time I was reading it, I was like, really, this is it? And, like, the whole first half of the book kind of felt YA. And I was like, why is it YA if it's, like, a dark bully romance for mature audiences and whatever, you know? It just seems so, like they were trying to write something that was, like, crazy, but, like, they were too scared to go there. And so, like I said, I just found this one boring, didn't love it, probably wouldn't recommend it. But, yeah. And the last book was the one I DNF'd, which was The Paper Palace by Miranda, Cowley, Heather. And if you follow my Instagram, you already know the whole story behind this. But basically, I was reading all the books that Reese Witherspoon has picked for her book club this year, because I wanted to film a video where I talked about all the books she picked for her book club this year. And I just wasn't liking any of them. I picked this one up, I was 82% in when I DNF'd, like, that's how far I got when I realized that I was literally forcing myself to listen to this audiobook. Like, I had no interest in this at all, because it didn't even go the direction I thought it was going to. This was supposed to be about a woman in her 50s who goes to this beach house in the summer, and there was this guy there when she was, like, a teenager, I guess, who she always kind of thought she was going to end up with, or people thought she was going to end up with, or he was, like, her, like, dream guy, the one that got away kind of thing. But she basically marries a different guy, and he marries a different girl, and now they all are, like, old and have kids and are back at this, you know, beach house town, whatever. And she finally hooks up with this guy that, you know, she always thought she'd be with and whatever. Even though she's married and has kids, and even though he's married, they hook up. And this book takes place over the course of one day. So I was thinking, okay, it's going to be her, you know, deciding between her safe life and the life she always thought she could have. But it's not. And I was, like, expecting flashbacks, because obviously you can't have one book be a whole day without some flashbacks. And so I was thinking it was going to go back to, like, her relationships with both guys over the years, and her just deciding, like, which way to go and what to do and whatever. But it just wasn't that. It was, like, all these backstories that had nothing to do with her relationships at all, and just all of this information that I didn't want or care about, and it just kept getting, like, more depressing. Like, every time something happened, it was depressing. There was not very many happy moments in this book, and I was just like, why would anyone want to read this? Like, the longer I listened to it, the more I was like, why am I doing this to myself? And so I've officially abandoned the idea of this Reese Witherspoon book club pick video, because this was the 3rd book I think I've read from her list, and honestly I didn't love the first 2 either. So I just think me and Reese have very different tastes in books, and I don't want to make myself miserable reading all of the books from her list just to film a video that, honestly, if I filmed the video, would probably just be me bashing all of Reese's book picks. So I don't think anyone would really want to watch that. Maybe they would, but I don't want to film it, so had to get rid of that video, and whatever, that's done. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I will see you next time.